Hey folks, with the unsettling real estate market right now, I want to share with you guys how I came from homelessness in a short period of time to becoming a landowner and achieving the American dream, not the conventional way. And share with you how I found cheap land and a cheap house. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. We first set foot on this property 10 years ago. What happened is, as I was driving up the road, I had known the gentleman that used to reside here. He lived in a single-wide mobile home that was on the place, but I noticed there was a gate across the driveway. There was weeds growing up over the driveway, as you see here, and I noticed that the roof was caved in on the mobile structure, and I started wondering what's going on. And I have been looking for property to park my manufactured home on. Now, about 2 years prior to us finding this property, I'm going to share a story with you and how I found this house for cheap. A friend of mine that I worked with came up to me and asked me if she wanted to buy her house. Her and her husband just got married and they wanted to build their dream home on this farm that they purchased about 6 miles down the road. She asked me if I wanted to buy it. I said, sure, I'll buy it. She sold it to me for $10,000, but I didn't have the cash right away. What I had to do was be creative to come up with cash, so I used my Ford Thunderbird title to get security because, mind you, we just came out of homelessness and we were living on this farm rent-free, and I was caretaker of the farm down the road, but we were trying to build up the credit. Credit wasn't sufficient enough to go out and just get a $10,000 cash to pay for it. So I worked out a deal with a lady. I was able to secure a loan from a bank. Since I had weak credit, the bank required some kind of security until I was able to pay it down or pay it off. Well, what happened was I gave the lady $3,000. That's all I got from the car. Gave her $3,000 down. I paid $300 a month for 9 months, and then we came into a cash windfall. Once we got that windfall, we were able to pay the house off. Yes, that's how I bought the house in 9 months. We also paid the loan off from the finance company. I was able to secure that loan through, and we built our credit. So we paid that off early. Now, the house was sitting stored at the farm where I was living and being a caretaker of. In the meantime, I was looking for property, and this property sits 1 mile down the road from the place I was caretaker of. I inquired about the property. Come to find out, I used Google. Yep. I Googled the site through a map, tried to locate an address. There was no mailbox, there was no address posted, so I didn't know what the address was. So in our region, it's not effective in every region, but in our region, in our county, you can actually put the cursor from your Google Maps, and then you can amplify the map down to where you see property lines. Then you place your cursor right in the middle of that property, and you can right click and it'll ask what's here, and it gives you a street address, a physical address. So I was able to take that address, plug it into Google, and Google came up with 2 results. One result was the gentleman who had lived here had passed away 4 years earlier. I didn't know he had passed away. But since he had the property paid off, he had no heirs. He was not married, didn't have any kids. And since for those 4 years, nobody was alive to pay the property taxes, the county came in and took possession of the land because of unpaid taxes. They do that. That's what they do. So anyway, they offered it up for auction. That's the second item I saw on the Google list. And I went and called the county and asked if this property is still for sale, because the listing of the auction had just passed 3 months earlier. And the gal said, yes, it's still available. Nobody bid on it. Because of the state, you see in this picture right here what the land looked like. Destroyed mobile home, junk car sitting around, an old junk motor home, and garbage everywhere. So that dissuaded anybody from even wanting to put in the time and effort. I looked at it and it's just like, I saw the potential. My wife and I came over here, we saw it. We looked over the land, we found where the well was, the power was here, water was in, septic was in, phone was in, so all the infrastructure was in, and we had a home 1 mile down the road that we could easily relocate on the property. Boom. So again, I didn't have any money in my pocket, so what the county offered, and this is what you guys can look for, it's not available everywhere. You just have to be creative and look to find out if these places are available in your area. Is you look for over-the-counter sales. Over-the-counter sales, you type that in and you can see what localities have that available. So since it didn't sell at auction, I got to purchase it through an over-the-counter sale at minimum bid price. So I bought the property. It's almost 6 acres. I bought it it sold for $60,000 at minimum bid price, but it's worth 3 times that. So their terms were $6,000 down and $486.86 a month, where the county, I signed a contract with the county, they're carrying the note. It's a promissory note to pay. They're carrying the note for 20 years. So I overpay every month. So I'm getting this thing paid off. And by the way, this month marks 10 years we've been on this land. This month right now marks 10 years. So this is a celebratory video and also a video to share with you guys how I was able to find cheap property and buy it. Again, I took my title to my car down to that finance company that loaned me $6,000. I got double because I was so good at paying the first time, I was able to double it. So I took that $6,000. Again, I had no money in my bank account, but I did have a job. And then I took it down to the county. I gave the $6,000 down with the signed contract. It got its approval. We got it notarized. I got it notarized for free because when you have a bank account, somebody in the bank can do the notary public for free, and that's part of the services. And so I got that done, but I only had to pay $53 extra for the clerk to walk the paperwork across the aisle or across the hall from her office to the recorder's office and have it recorded. So now we become landowners. And it's almost paid for. We got probably maybe 3 to 5 more years to go. Depends on how the income happens, but we're gonna be making it happen. So we began our payments and we moved right onto the land. I moved a little travel trailer onto the land, hooked it up to water, plugged it into sewer, got the electric on, and I was able to come over here and spend my days off and clean up the property and get everything out. I had a recycler come in and get the cars and all the metal. I cut up the mobile home and the frames, and they brought in a bin, and I stuck all the metal in the bin, and then I took all the trash to the dump and I burnt whatever that could be burnt. So I got a check from the recyclers. That check was enough to pay my 1 month's mortgage, gravel the driveway, and purchase a new gate for across the front of the driveway. Scored big time there because the resources are right here on the land. And metal prices were up at that time, so that's how come I was able to take advantage of that. Got it all cleared up, moved the mobile home over here, and had them put it as close as they could together, and then I winched it together by myself. I did this by myself. I set the whole house up by myself with a little help from my wife. Now, I like recycling and upcycling, so I took every advantage to look for resources that I could use to build up my home. Working paycheck to paycheck and not having enough money to get things done, I had to put a foundation around the house. I wanted to put a foundation around the house. I could have opted for a cheap skirting, but I wanted a foundation. So I was collecting all the material for the foundation. I was doing estate cleanups, finding cinder blocks, adding those. And so I ended up collecting resources to buy the cement and the mortar and more blocks by selling the wheels and the axles that I had purchased for the two halves of this home to get it moved up, and also the tongues that are welded on the front. I cut those off, sold those, and I was short some money, so I found in my toy box an old toy. It was a 1967-ish, 1966 Christmas present from the Sears and Roebuck catalog, sold for $5.55. Now, this is the birth of my YouTube channel. This is the very first video I created for my YouTube channel. What I did was, I felt that this was a collector's item, so I went on and I opened up a PayPal account. I opened up an eBay account. I opened up a Craigslist account, and I opened up a YouTube account. And so what I did was, I filmed this little toy that sold for $5.55 in 1960s. I photographed it operating. I uploaded it to eBay and set auction. And then I listed it for sale, advertising it on Craigslist, but not just any Craigslist. I listed it in Rome, Italy, Paris, France, Miami, New York, Seattle, Portland, Dallas, Fort Worth. These are cities where investors would live. These are places where people who had liquid assets, who had money, who like to collect things, and that's what my target audience was. I got a nibble. I was able to receive payment for about $886 is what I got out of that $5.55 toy. Had them pay pay me through PayPal, but when I listed it on eBay, I listed the link to the video on eBay and also on Craigslist, and also listed the eBay account on Craigslist so they can just click right on it, see the video of the toy that's working, and see where they can go and make the purchase. And of course, I got my money through PayPal, shipped it out, and I'm happy. I got to buy the rest of the material for my foundation. And then my wife and I hand dug the footing, built the footing. I put together all the pier blocks underneath the house and in all of this perimeter foundation, cinder block foundation, put the vents in, stayed true to code, had it all inspected, passed my inspection, and this is earthquake proof. So we covered how to find and secure cheap property with very little credit. Got to be creative, folks, and it's okay to be afraid, but you have to be bold enough to try. Shared with you how I found a cheap house. $10,000 for the house, paid it off in 9 months. Of course, we had that cash windfall. And the property, we were really creative at getting the money down, get it going. We paid that off really quick because if we came into another cash windfall, we used tax refunds for that anyway, and bonuses from work. And when I get a debt, I pay everything into it that I can just to get it out because I hate debt. So here's the bonus. I shared with you how to buy cheap land, how to find it, shared with you how to find and buy a cheap house. Just make connections, make friends, ask around. I'm going to share with you how I built my homestead for free or cheap. All these buildings I built from recycled, repurposed material, or I would raise livestock, sell them, take the money from the livestock, buy feed, and buy materials to build my my farm. Now, I had been stockpiling material at the other place because I've been doing cleanups and stuff, and I resource all this material. So the first two buildings I built on the homestead or on the farm before we even moved the house over was the chicken coop and the barn. Those are the first two buildings we built while I had that little tiny travel trailer here. I kept myself busy, and I was creating a home and also fulfilling the American dream for my family and myself. Then I sold a bunch of livestock, rabbits, and kept selling them, goats, and then I bought material to build the bunny bungalow. I have rabbits in there. We raise rabbits. We're getting ready to cull a bunch of rabbits this weekend. My son and my daughter will be jumping in and helping us. The turkey house, formerly known as the Quack Shack, was all material that was left behind or donated. I had a contractor friend that would change out windows, and instead of hauling them to the dump, he gifted me with a bunch of sliding glass doors. So I resourced the sliding glass doors for the front, had this clear corrugated roofing material that I resourced for free, and then the plywood sheets. These are 4-foot by 10-foot long plywood sheets that were left behind from a reality show that we later filmed about 4 years ago. We were in a couple episodes on Discovery Channel and Animal Planet's Homestead Rescue, Honey, I Torched the Homestead, and Savage Wilderness. And I think we're in a clip of one of their specials, Homestead Hacks. Anyway, built this. It's shelter for the turkeys now. So I'm raising Naragansette turkeys. What's beautiful about this farm, and it came complete with a pond. So I love ducks, so I have ducks and geese here. So the pond was, that was a bonus. Built the well house, all out of recycled, repurposed material, and all of my buildings have metal roofing, some of which I painted green because I like the theme colors of the classic red and then the hunter or forest green on the roofs. So I paid $999 for the big tank cistern for fire suppression, and also in case power grid goes down, I can drain water from that tank, feed the water the livestock, and have water supply to the house for a couple of weeks until I get a generator hooked up to the well to pump water into that to refill it. So I do these estate cleanups and I get all kinds of resources. I have a big stock of resources you see right now. I'm condensing all my resources here. Hopefully I'll get enough money to put together some racks so I can organize this into a cohesive, organized pile with fencing, fence posts, building materials, roofing materials, because I'm still stockpiling. But with estate cleanups, I end up with free stuff. I've got a pickup for free. I got a car for free. I've got a fifth wheel for free. I got a travel trailer for free. Got a couple of boats for free. I even got this tractor given to me. Now, when the lady gave me the tractor, I literally cried. So the tractor needed a house once I took possession of the tractor and all the implements. It comes with this disc harrow. It comes with a plow. Comes with a brush deck, and then over here there's a rear scraper blade. So while I was doing that major cleanup, it was actually 3 estates in one. I was doing that major cleanup. You guys can follow that on my treasure hunting series. I'll leave a post so you guys can click on it. And then I received as a gift one of these canvas covered portable carports that was able to store everything in, but the canvas rotted off as they do in a couple of years. I didn't want to let that frame go to waste, so I went and took some revenue I had, bought the metal and the wood to make a frame the front door, and it also put metal on the roof and the sides, and rehabituated that frame of a portable carport, making it more durable and sturdy. And now it contains my tractor, along with some other things that I have that I collected from estate cleanups. And I end up gifting a lot away because I ended up with 2 tractors and double all the implements. So I just paid it forward and gifted it all to somebody else. Turning the attention to the house, we ended up with a brand new roof courtesy of Marty Rainey and his family on Discovery Channel when they were filming our episode. They put a green metal roof on it to help deflect or protect the house against nearby wildfires, which we average probably 3 a year. Every year for the past several years I've lived up here. Another bonus is, like I mentioned earlier, I had a contractor friend that gave me a bunch of windows, and I had the windows stockpiled out here, and Discovery Channel, Misty Rainey, saw all my windows and decided she's gonna build me this epic greenhouse. So now we've got this greenhouse that didn't cost me a cent. So that's how we did it free. That's how I bought cheap land. That's how I got a cheap house. I put it together myself, saving a load of cash. Was able to resource even the timbers here in my raised beds, because some of that stuff I get free from an estate cleanup, I was able to gift them to another homesteader friend of mine, Steve Davis. And he had a sawmill, and he gifted me the timber for my raised beds, and I gifted him some items for his homestead as well. So it was a barter thing. It's neat. So that's all of it in a nutshell, how I was able to come from homelessness to homestead in a short period of time. And this is our 10th year anniversary for being on this farm. It's a wonderful feeling. Take advantage of those programs that you guys can find, and look what's specific to your area. These programs are not available everywhere. I will leave links down below. Check out those links. I did a lot of videos helping people out on trying to do the same thing or something like this. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. Please stay tuned to more videos. You could do that by subscribing and clicking that bell icon. That alerts you to new videos as I upload them. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, leave a compliment if you will. Remember, be safe, always be kind. We'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye-bye now.